G'day Purple fam, that guy Purps here, back with another reaction video. Not music this time. This time we're jumping into a request from one of the subscribers. Told me to check out 10 places to visit in Indonesia from Touropia. Now, after we did the Alfie Rev Wonderland reaction video, I was quite intrigued into the different areas of Indonesia. Obviously that video showcased a lot of the different cultures, from, all within the same general culture, but the different, locales and how they have different song, different dance, different dress, and how just the whole thing combines together just to create a beautiful place. So I haven't actually personally been to Indonesia, much like many of Australians have been to Bali or whatever. I've never actually been to Indonesia and do hope to get there one day. So in the meantime, being that, Australia is closed off at the moment, we can't travel out or no one can come in, what better way to see parts of the beautiful country than to look at this? So it is a longer sort of video. It is 16 minutes. So, feel free to skip ahead to different parts or whatever. Or if you're going to be here for the whole thing, I appreciate that. And we'll, see where we're at as we go along. So let's get into it, because it is a little bit of a longer video. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section too if you have been to Indonesia or you are from Indonesia. Are these the 10 best places? What other places would you recommend? Anything like that. Anything to, expand on the topic or fill me in on a little bit of maybe insider knowledge. A lot of time these videos do just give you the the touristy spots, but yeah, let me know. Nice volcano.
With over 18,000 islands, Indonesia is the
Okay.
largest archipelago in the world.
I don't think
The
I need
island
that.
nation is home to 167.
All right, so archipelago is a series of islands all connected, or not connected together, otherwise it wouldn't be islands. But a series of islands all within the same province and region. And I understand from the Wonderland video, that's why there were islands floating in the sky and everything like that to represent that archipelago.
Active volcanoes, far more than any other country, and
Sorry,
has some.
what was that on active
Indonesia is
volcanoes?
the largest archipelago in the world. The island nation is home to 167 active volcanoes.
That's a lot.
Far more than any other country, and has some of the largest remaining tracts of tropical forest anywhere in the world. Indonesia is both a leisure seeker's dream and an adventurer's
Reminds me of
playground.
Queensland.
Whether you're looking to bronze on beautiful beaches, hike in search of endangered orangutan, or snorkel among some of the most beautiful coral reefs on Earth,
That's quite beautiful
this
too.
country has some.
It's interesting how, like, the different coves have all developed there. Obviously, a lot of times with sea currents, they come from a certain way, so that's why you have a certain harbour. But this one looks like, on all sides of this have been carved away over time, and it looks like quite rugged terrain, like granite or some form of hard rock, some volcanic sort of rock. Obviously, with 160 something active volcanoes, there were probably a lot more throughout history, a lot of dormant ones and everything else. So there'd be a lot of volcanic formations and everything like that throughout the country. The region I'm used to live in down in Mount Gambier was Mount Gambier itself is a dormant volcano full of water, and a lot of the landscape around there has volcanic rock and stuff like that, but not to this extent, not as rugged. So this is actually quite beautiful, and you can see even just by the size of the boats, down here, that would be quite a decent size fishing vessel. Down to little more privatey sort of things, and just the scale of them compared to these mountains I guess you'd call it a mountain, but these peaks and stuff, like quite beautiful.
Something for everyone. Here's a look at the best places to visit in Indonesia.
There's another one off in the distance too. Wow.
Number 10. Raja Ampat Islands. An island cluster on the northwestern tip of
Wow.
Papua New Guinea, Raja Ampat is one of the most sensational diving destinations in Indonesia.
So steep.
Meaning Four Kings, Raja Ampat is made up of 4 major jungle-clad islands, surrounded by turquoise lagoons and palm-fringed beaches, along with thousands of smaller islands. The archipelago
Beautiful
is celebrated for its rich marine life and underwater coral reefs.
But just
These islands are also home to
such
spectacular beaches with shallow blue waters and fine white sand. Lagoons provide protection from the wind and a special place to relax in paradise.
They say a lot of fish species or turtles and that would use them as breeding grounds, being that protected by the winds and the strong currents, those little lagoons. But yeah, you can even see the formation under the water there, how, you know, it was just nothing, and then bang, you know, like just straight out of the ground. So, again, you know, and then underwater, you know, you got your brain coral and the different sorts of, just that whole reef environment. It's quite beautiful. Hundreds of fish. Wobbegong. Sea turtle. That manta ray. So elegant, the manta ray, like. And again, that would be why it was on Wonderland, like they had
Number 9,
that floating manta
Bunaken.
ray. So, Bunaken.
Located at the north of the island of Sulawesi, Bunaken is one of Indonesia's most famous dive and snorkeling destinations. The island is part of the Bunaken Marine Park, where you can see more than 70% of all fish species that live in the Western Pacific.
Nice.
By and large, the diving spots are geared toward advanced divers with strong swimming skills. However, increasing in popularity is
Angelfish.
snorkeling in the shallower coral reefs closer to the shoreline.
Someone too can let me know down in the comments section, how is, you know, are you suffering from any coral bleaching events through these areas, much like parts of the Great Barrier Reef off the coast of Australia? I know a lot of the coral there, just through the rise in temperatures and stuff like that, have really seen some adverse effects over the last sort of 10 years probably. There have been reports recently of some new growth and some regeneration, and a lot of the coral reefs are starting to make a fight back. We've also had the crown of thorns starfish that came through, and obviously they like to eat the coral. So, you know, what sort of, I suppose, negative effects are you seeing in these reefs? Are there any, you know, predator or invasive species that are coming and destroying things, or are they pretty well, you know, kept pretty free of that sort of stuff? Valley? Possibly? So like even in this shot, I'm not sure if that was just the camera and stuff, but you know, the coral down here looks quite bleached and nearly, you know, it doesn't really show signs of life. Like there are plenty of fish still around, but you know, I know a lot of coral is quite vibrant in color and stuff like that. So when it goes white and bleaches like that, it sort of, it could be a sign that the coral is dying. But still, plenty of life around, plenty of life.
Number 8. Flores. Portuguese for flowers, Flores is undeniably an island of incredible scenic beauty.
I was just thinking Flores. Like from all the Indonesian words I've heard, doesn't sound very Indonesian, and then obviously it's Portuguese, so has that more Portuguese Spanish type feel to it. So that makes a lot of sense.
Famous attraction in Flores is the Kelimutu volcano caldera, which has 3 lakes fed by volcanic gas that change color according to the amount of oxidation in the water. The 3 colored lakes are a must-see from the top of the volcano at sunrise. The north coast has many offshore islands and coral reefs to explore with an exhilarating dive or snorkeling trip.
And as I was mentioning before, with the town that I grew up in, Mount Gambier, the lake there in sort of October, November, starts to turn a real vivid blue, and I still don't think they're sure as to why, because over winter, all the water is grey. It's very, just bleh looking. But then, as it starts to get warmer, the ring around the edge of this volcanic crater around the water level starts getting blue, and then the whole lake turns this real sort of vibrant blue. So I wonder if that's got to do with the oxidization, or it is formed with limestone, so maybe the limestone has a reaction at this certain times of year or something. But yeah, quite interesting it would be quite interesting to go and see these 3 colored lakes.
Exhilarating dive or snorkeling trip.
Yeah, so that lake there that reminds me a lot of the Blue Lake, but it's not quite that turquoisey color. It's a lot deeper.
Number 7. Toraja Land. Tucked within the lush central islands of southern Sulawesi, Toraja Land is a region that's dotted with rice fields, limestone peaks, and bamboo-clad hills. Home to the Toraja.
Wow. That is very unique architecture. I wonder, I'm hoping that the video lets us in on why these are designed and shaped this way. But yeah, if someone can let me know, if it doesn't tell me in the video, why they have that particular shape. Is it something to do with the climate or something like that? Obviously, in places where it snows a lot, they have really pitchy roofs, so the snow goes off. Is there something to do with the climate or something as to why that's designed that way, or traditionally, or anything like that? Please let me know.
Fields, limestone peaks, and bamboo-clad hills. Home to the Toraja, an animist people, Tanah Toraja has a fascinating culture that's remained largely independent from Western influence. Torajans are famous for their massive peaked roof houses and spectacular but gruesome funeral rites. After a person's death, the body is kept for several years until the actual funeral ceremony, which can last for several days.
Wow.
The deceased is then finally buried in a small cave or in a hollow tree.
Wow. And then are they then made a representation doll to stand watch, or are these figures here, are they created as guardians of the tomb, or are they representative of the people that have passed? And it just said that they're known for their peaked roofs, but it didn't actually say why they have the peaked roofs. So if someone can let me know, that would be very much appreciated. It's nearly the shape of a boat.
Number
It's
6.
nearly like
Lake
a land
Toba.
boat sort of looking thing.
Lake Toba on the island of Sumatra is an immense volcanic lake about 100 kilometers long and 30 kilometers wide.
Wow.
Formed by a gigantic volcanic eruption some 70,000 years ago, it is the largest resurgent caldera on Earth. Samosir Island in the middle is the largest island within an island and contains 2 lakes. Besides visiting a lake on an island,
I don't know, if a lake is 30 kilometers wide, it's basically an inland sea at that point, isn't it? Like, I get, seas and lakes have different characteristics in terms of tides and how the water is, and obviously this is just a big hole with water in it, hence being a lake. But I don't know, when you'd first come across that and you were paddling across, like, you wouldn't, 30 kilometers across, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, this is a pretty good lake. You'd be going, wow, like this is a sea or something. That's very interesting.
an island and contains 2 lakes. Besides visiting a lake on an island within a lake on an island, tourists also come here
like
to
Inception.
sit back and relax and swim in the volcanically warmed waters.
Oh, so it still has active volcanic underneath. Obviously, that's why it's warm. It's beautiful. See all the farm fields.
Number 5. Mount Bromo. Mount Bromo is an active volcano and part of the Tenjer Massif in East Java. At 2,329 meters, it is not the highest peak of the massif, but is the most well-known. The area...
It's quite beautiful too how the ridges of those volcanoes have been formed. It's not something that strikes me as being something I've seen a lot. Generally, you see the mound, much like the ones in the background there, but a lot of these ones, I'm pointing to the screen and you can't really see, but yeah, like these ones are sort of more just a mound, whereas these ones have really come up with ridges, and the shot just before, like you can see here, it's very distinctive patterning in the rock. That's something that I haven't seen before.
It is not the highest peak of the massif, but is the most well-known. The area is one of the most visited tourist attractions in Java. The top of the volcano has been blown off, and the crater inside constantly belches white smoke. It is surrounded by the sea of sand, of fine volcanic sand. The overall effect is unsettlingly unearthly.
Looks like pictures that come back from the Mars rover or something. All the yellow stain from all the sulfur. See, even that one has the ridges up the side. Like it's quite interesting.
Number 4. Lombok. An increasingly popular alternative to overly commercial Bali, Lombok and its offshore coral-rigged Gili Islands are tropical paradises.
I have
Here
actually,
you can enjoy
when I was
all
looking
the
into,
appeal of Bali.
I was looking into a Bali trip a couple of years ago, and a bloke that I worked with, he recommended actually going to Lombok instead. He said it's just as, if not more beautiful than Bali and the surrounding areas, and a little less touristy. So you see more of what the country actually is, and not, the westernized the westernized Indonesia sort of thing. It is really a lot more pure.
Before tourism took over, surfing hotspots, uncrowded beaches, and magical waterfalls tucked away within steamy jungles. Backpackers head to Lombok in search of adventure. This is likely because its volcano-topped jungle provides for a great trek surrounded by unforgettable scenery. If you're planning on hiking the Rinjani
Nice.
volcano and its photogenic crater lake, make sure you're fit and have booked with a reputable guide. It's by no means a walk in the park.
And see what I was saying? Like, even that volcano there, it doesn't have the same those same ridge lines that go all the way around it like the other ones did. So I wonder why those ones formed in that way. Maybe it's the composition of the limestone around there, or the different sorts of rock, or just whatever around there. Because this one is quite smooth. Maybe this one, because it might have erupted at some stage, and the lava coming out might have caused the more smoother texture on the outside. But yeah, it's just interesting to see how different formations created predominantly from the same volcanic action form differently. Beautiful beaches too.
Number 3.
Number
Komodo
3.
National Park. Located near Flores, Komodo National Park is famous for one thing and one thing only: its reptilian namesake, the Komodo dragon. Spread across 3 main islands, the park provides a sanctuary for this strange-looking creature, reminiscent of the dinosaurs. It's the largest living lizard on the planet and can reach a mighty 3 meters in length. The reptiles roam freely over the islands, and visitors rely on experienced tour guides for sightings and to keep them safe. But you'll also spot wild horses, water buffalo, and long-tailed macaques here.
Nice.
Offshore, the park encompasses some of the richest marine habitats in the world, with a kaleidoscope of sponges, crustaceans, and bony fish.
They're just like a really big goanna. Like, in Australia, we have a lot of goanna species, or monitor lizard. And yeah, obviously, I'm pretty sure the Komodo is a monitor lizard. It's just in that, its own little realm of being just massive. But we do have the parenti lizard here in Australia. That's the largest lizard in Australia. And I think they get to 2 meters something, or around about the 2 meter mark. So they're quite a large lizard as well, and not so bulky in the body, and tend to be a little bit faster. I'm sure Komodo dragons can get up to speed and are pretty fast, but every time I've seen them, they've the clips have been like this, where they're just sort of, yep, okay. But yeah, they're quite interesting animals. And I suppose being isolated on that island in that part of the world, they have just evolved and kept their size. And they might not have evolved much from being back in the dinosaur age. Look at the head on that. Again, reef teeming with life.
Number 2. Yogyakarta. Yogyakarta is a bustling town of some 500,000 people and the
Wow.
most popular tourist destination on Java due to its proximity to the famous temples of Borobudur and Prambanan. The city itself is a center of education and culture, particularly for Javanese fine arts, and has a wide range of tourist facilities. Yogyakarta lies in one of the most seismically active parts of Java, and has thus repeatedly been struck by earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. In
And yet-
2006,
And yet there's buildings there that look, these here look like they've been standing for, hundreds, if not thousands of years. It just goes to show, they don't build things like they used to, because a lot of modern buildings all crumble and everything, and you've got all these like ancient structures that are still there, survived numerous earthquakes, and are still strong.
an earthquake flattened over 300,000 houses, while in 2010, the nearby volcano of Mount Merapi erupted, spewing lava over nearby
Like the
villages.
smaller ones have obviously copped a bit of a, but you look at the details in those structures. Like all these little points and everything. If they were severely shook, that'd be the first things to break off. And you can see from the shot just before, the size of these compared to the people. Like these little structures on the side here would be sort of normal house sort of sizes, I'm guessing, being that, the people there and everything. Whereas these, like, the doorways and everything, they're quite large. Beautiful architecture, though. And like, how would people, constructed them centuries and centuries ago? Like, it boggles the mind. And again, like that pyramid-y sort of theme that you see throughout the world. Cultures separated by thousands of kilometers, never come in contact with each other, yet all seem to make similar looking structures. Whether it's, I don't know, it's just logic to build a layer up, a layer up, a layer up, a layer up, and then eventually end up with a pyramid shape. Or, were civilizations formed by a separate civilization that branched off and explored different parts of the world, that all came from the same belief system and structures and stuff. Like, it's really interesting, looking at the obviously vast differences, but a lot of similarities throughout architecture throughout the world, especially in ancient temples and stuff. And the quality of the masonry, like, you tell someone now, like, oh, we need 2 bricks to fit together. There'll be a gap. 100%. There'll be a gap. But then you see some of the stones that have been placed in these temples, hundreds of years ago, where they didn't have the tools, technology, the lifting equipment, and everything now, and it's spot on. Like, you couldn't fit a bit of paper through it. And the carving is like so beautiful.
Number 1. Bali. One of the most visited and dreamed of destinations on the modern traveler bucket list, Bali is a kaleidoscope of beautiful beaches, volcanic hills, lush rice paddies, and thousands upon thousands of Balinese temples. It's celebrated for its laid-back atmosphere that's attracted backpackers, surfers, and yogis for years who have come in search of finding their zen in this tropical paradise. Nicknamed the Island of the Gods, Bali is deeply rooted in the spiritual, with endless Hindu temples.
Also nicknamed the other state of Australia, just by how many Australian tourists go there. yeah, it is joked about in Australia that basically, we could just adopt Bali as another Australian state by how many Australians go there, live there for time and stuff like that. But um, yeah, these structures are so intriguing. Um,
boasting colorful architecture all of
like
their
the
own,
carvings in the rock, like
particularly in Ubud, Bali's spiritual capital.
just how old these buildings are and the amount of people that continue to go there, and that it's still good. Like it hasn't been worn away. It hasn't. Those rice fields are quite interesting how they're carved into the side of the mountain too. And I think that's it. Well, there we go, guys. 10 best places to visit in Indonesia. Now, just from people locally, friends that have been overseas, visited Indonesia, been to Bali, and other people that I've worked with. There might be a couple of these that would have been jumbled around in different orders. Obviously, some of them I'm completely unfamiliar with, but obviously, I know the Komodo dragon, and Lombok, and different places like that would be probably above Bali for me. But then again, seeing all those different temples and everything else, it would have to be on the list to go see. Might not be the best. I might different people would appreciate different things, but I can definitely see the beauty and attraction to going there. So yeah, let me know what you thought down in the comment section, guys. Again, like I mentioned before, if you are from Indonesia and you are familiar with anything that's happening with all the beautiful reefs there in regards to any climate change or invasive species or anything like that, please let me know. The other thing I was going to ask was sharks. Obviously, Australia, we have lots of different sharks, tiger sharks, bull sharks, great white as well. Reefs being highly populated by food items would generally attract sharks. What sort of shark species do you have? Are there very many shark attacks? Is it something that you're worried about? Or is it more they just leave you alone if you leave them alone, and they're not really the aggressive species that we tend to have here in Australia, or in our waters? But yeah, being that we are so close to each other, it'd make sense that you have many of the same predatory animals and stuff in the water that we do. But yeah, let me know down in the comment section. Hope to see you down there. And like always, guys, until next time, I'm that guy Purps, and I'll see you then.